What is going on, you guys? It is Justin back here with another video, and today for Frightful Friday number 5, we are going to be reviewing Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. So without further ado, let's get right into this.
You're a figment of my imagination.
Really? Is this a figment of your imagination?
Alright, you guys, so starting off, I'm going to give you guys my rating of this movie, what I thought about it, and then we're going to get into the review of it. So my rating for this movie, honestly, I thought this movie was really, really good. I honestly think it's much better than the original, which that's really hard to do since most sequels aren't better than the original. I'm going to give this sequel a 10 out of 10. I loved it. Michael Keaton's work was amazing. Winona Ryder's work was amazing. Jenna Ortega's work was amazing. Same with Catherine O'Hara and basically everybody on the set. I feel like Catherine O'Hara, out of everybody, she really stole the show because it was more focused around Delia anyways. Because in the movie, we start off with Lydia Deetz. We find out she has basically a kind of ghost show. And it's kind of like what, like the paranormal hunters do and stuff like that. But yeah, it's very interesting, and we find out she has a love interest named Rory. He is played by Justin Theroux. At least I think that's how you say his last name. If not, I'm sorry. But yeah, we find out that Rory is her manager and that obviously he has a love interest, and she is doing this ghost show, and they're going through and watching this stuff that happened on a ghost hunt, and she starts seeing Beetlejuice pop up, and she starts going crazy. Like, she starts saying no, 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 no. And so they take lunch, and she goes to the bathroom, which Justin follows her in. Not Justin, he's played by Justin. Rory follows her into the ladies' bathroom, which I thought was kind of weird, because, he's a man going in the ladies' bathroom. But anyways, who knows? But, yeah. We see that Lydia is taking pills, and he finds out that she is, and he basically throws them in the trash. But she convinces him to give her one more pill so that she could just get through the rest of that show. We then get a text from Delia to Lydia saying that she needs her there right now, and we find out that Delia has her own art school and stuff like that, and we find her sitting on this little platform crying. And we find out that Charles Dietz, obviously the father from the first movie, which the actor, I'm not really too sure, I forget his name, I'll put it right there, but I seen a video on Facebook the other day. They said that he kind of did some bad stuff, so Tim Burton didn't even think about bringing him back to the sequel, which honestly, do not blame him. I wouldn't want to be putting that guy in my movie either. So yeah, basically we find out that Charles Dietz is dead, and that they have to find out some way to tell Jenna Ortega's character, which is Lydia's daughter, Astrid. And it's kind of weird how they do it. Lydia and Astrid's relationship is kind of like Delia and Lydia's relationship from the first one, except the difference is that I expected Astrid to be kind of like a Wednesday character, but she's actually not. She is, you could tell she's Lydia's daughter because she acts just like her, but she does not believe in the dead, and she does not believe that her mom could talk to the dead, because we find out that Astrid has a dad that passed away, and she is convinced that, her mom can talk to the dead, but she doesn't believe it, because she's like, if you could talk to the dead, then why can't you talk to the one ghost that I want to see? Astrid's dad is played by Santiago Cabrera. But yeah, continuing on, they need to find some way to tell Astrid that her grandfather is dead, and they do it in the most funny way possible. Astrid is at one of Delia's schools of art or something, and we only know it's hers because her big old piece of art from the first one is sitting outside that school, and it's called the Dietz Art School or something like that. But Delia runs out, and she's screaming, and she's like, "Stop terrorizing your mother!" And it's just a very funny scene, and we all know if we were in that spot, we would be embarrassed. But that's basically how she finds out that her grandfather's dead. Then continuing on, we finally go back to the Beetlejuice house. And this is where it gets interesting because we get taken to the afterlife where we find out that Danny DeVito is he makes an appearance in this movie, which I thought was kind of funny. He is this undead custodian basically, and he's like scrubbing the floor when this big electric boom happens and all these boxes fall down, and it's this lady that's cut in a bunch of pieces, and this is Dolores, who is played by Monica Bellucci. I believe that's how you say her last name. If not, sorry. But yeah, we find out that we get somewhat of a backstory to Beetlejuice in this one, which I thought was kind of interesting. We get this from Beetlejuice himself. He tells us about how he met Dolores, and basically saying she was a soul-sucking demon, how she wanted to kill him, but he basically got the upper hand and killed her first. So yeah, very, very interesting stuff. We continue on to where we go to Charles Deed's funeral, and Rory, Lydia's boyfriend, proposes to Lydia at the funeral, which Astrid does not like. So she goes off and she goes to this, she's like riding and she almost gets hit a lot, but she falls through this fence and she goes into the yard of this boy named Jeremy. And there's a twist coming up that is very, very crazy. But yeah, we find out that Jeremy is obsessed with Lydia. He's like, your mom's a living legend. Like, and we see he has the book of the deceased with him, which we thought, well, which I thought like, oh, maybe he did pick it up at a garage sale or something. But we switch back from that. And, you know, it's just getting very, very crazy at this point. We are finding out that Beetlejuice, so what happens is Willem Dafoe's character, Wolf Jackson, finds out that Monica Bellucci's character, Dolores, is going to be going after Beetlejuice. So he goes and basically warns Beetlejuice. He's like, you know what, if I were you, I'd hang low, like, not go around or anything. So Beetlejuice and Bob, they do this thing where, obviously Bob's the guy with the little head. He's dressed up as Beetlejuice, and he's like, you know what, if she comes around trying to find me, you're going to be my replacement. So, it's just very, very funny. Then we go back to Astrid and her love interest, which is Jeremy, and we find out that Jeremy is actually dead, and that he wants to come back to this, to the world, basically. And, you know, he says, you know, if you help me come back to this world, you can see your dad again, which we all know what that means. He wants his life for hers. He doesn't say that to her, though, which she's just thinking, okay, cool, I can get you, and I can get my dad back. That'll be awesome. So she goes along with it. And Lydia finds this out, and she has to go to Beetlejuice for help, which is very, very funny. We get this funny therapist scene with Beetlejuice, Rory, and Lydia, and she tries saying his name so that he can go back, because she's like, this is just a big mistake. And I love this scene because he does the little ee where she sews her mouth shut, which I thought was hilarious. And then during that scene, Beetlejuice says to Lydia, he's like, well, who's this? He's talking about Rory. And he's like, oh, Rory boy, well, sorry, you should have got to her before I did. And he's like, well, what are you talking about? And Lydia grows really big, and she shoots out this little Beetlejuice baby, which I thought was hilarious. And this thing is crawling all over the walls. It's all bloody. And Beetlejuice is like, oh, well, let's spill our guts. And his guts spill out everywhere. Lydia's guts spill out everywhere. And we get that. Then we get the scene from the trailer, which I thought was really cool, where Beetlejuice does the figment of your imagination thing, and we get the little bat wings that come out of his face, which I thought was really hilarious. But basically what happens is Lydia basically explains what's happening to Beetlejuice, and he's like, all right, well, I'll help you save your daughter. All you gotta do is marry me. So she's like, okay, yeah, I'll marry you. So continuing on, we go back to Delia, and she's doing this thing where she is doing this kind of like ritual thing for Charles so that he can go into the afterlife, and she's got snakes, and she obviously doesn't think this out because the snakes bite her in the neck, and she's obviously dead in the afterlife now. So we continue on, and this is basically the end of the movie. Beetlejuice and Lydia, they basically go on this big old adventure to save Astrid. They eventually do end up saving Astrid with the help of Astrid's dad. We do find out that he is in the afterlife. He's one of the, like, concession workers or something. But yeah, we get this nice little moment of Astrid's dad talking to Lydia and Lydia's daughter, and he's saying like, you guys need each other. Like, I don't want me to be the reason that you guys are driving each other apart. So yeah, just know that you guys need each other. So we eventually do get to the part, which is probably my favorite part. We get to Lydia and Beetlejuice's wedding, which was, well, hilarious part, the best part of the movie to me, honestly. There's this part where Beetlejuice makes everybody sing for them, and then he stops and does like a little Deadpool where he breaks the fourth wall, and he's like, I love a dream sequence. And, you know, he keeps them singing, but then we find out that Astrid's like, well, you know, you don't have to marry my mom. Like, you've broken plenty of codes and this and that. And then Beetlejuice blows up into this big balloon and pops. And then we get this little, like, montage of Lydia and Astrid going to Transylvania, basically. And, you know, she sees this guy dressed up as Dracula. We flash forward, Astrid's getting married. Then she's having a baby. And the baby she has is baby Beetlejuice. And we find out that this is just Lydia waking up from a bad dream. And then the funny thing is that Beetlejuice wakes up next to her and he goes, I just had a bad dream. And then she wakes up again to find out that it really was a bad dream. But yeah, me personally, I really like this movie. Like I said, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. I would love to know what you guys think about it down in the comments below. I'm definitely going to see this movie again. I'm going to pick up my Art the Clown popcorn buckets next week, and I'm probably going to see it again while I do that. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this movie down in the comments below. As always, you guys, stay groovy, stay safe, you keep your people safe. Remember, God is good all the time. It has been Justin, and I'm out. Peace.